Hi guys, this is Janet with Living Room Talks. Today I have Dr. Scott with me. Dr. Scott, introduce yourself.
Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Ramonica Scott. I am the Immersion Experience Coordinator at Abilene Christian University. I've been here since the summer of 2019. So it's kind of still new in that position, especially with a new standard with these immersions that are going on, and some athletic trainers not really knowing about the immersion. So it's taken a lot of education that I've had to do for people in order to get my job done effectively. So that's just a little bit about my job. I'm born and raised in Texas, had to put that out there for what that's worth these days. And yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Of course. So speaking of immersion, to those of us that don't know too much about it, what are you telling people?
There's a difference between the immersions and the regular clinical rotations that most of us went through in our athletic training programs or internship programs, depending on, your age and athletic training. The immersions are kind of like apprenticeships. You don't stay there and do paperwork and the student leaves. The student is right there beside you working on that paperwork. And once you you teach it to them, and once you feel comfortable with them doing paperwork, allow them to do it so they learn how to do your job and become efficient at your job. If they can talk to parents, coaches, of course, you're standing right there looking at them. Or if it's anything in the athletic training room, give them as much autonomy as possible, as long as you can turn and do this and see them and come back.
So what would you say is the biggest difference from like our previous having preceptors and having clinical rotations versus this immersion program?
For our program, they don't have any courses. We try to make sure that they don't have, outside of the clinical education course that's tied to the immersion, they don't take actual like pharmacology or general med. They don't have a class, a sit down class to do assignments and stuff during that immersion, to where on the clinical rotations, they're trying to fight their time with going to clinicals, with homework, studying for tests and all that. So it's basically, you are immersed in athletic training and you're learning how to do it and apply what you've learned in class to that immersion experience.
What are some of the difficulties have you run into with certified athletic trainers, telling them about needing clinical sites or how this immersion program works and what's different?
I guess one of the main things is people just not understanding what I mean by this is different than the regular fall clinical rotations. I think maybe the younger the athletic trainer, I might be stretching there, but they kind of still think it's like a clinical rotation. That's what I've struggled with, to get them to understand this is not a regular clinical rotation. They're learning your job. It's an apprenticeship. So that's one of the main problems I've had. Some athletic trainers don't want to be a preceptor for an immersion. That was shocking. I don't know why. I've had a couple athletic trainers tell me, just no, that's not what I want to do. And I understand the job is very, very demanding as it is. And then having this person with you 24/7 it can get hard. So I completely understood it. I was just shocked that somebody would say no to a student, unless it was something that's going on like COVID. So I've had a bunch of clinics tell me no for immersions too, because of COVID in their guidelines. So did I answer all that?
Yes.
Okay.
So for preceptors that are on the fence about becoming one, what does it entail? What are duties or responsibilities that go along with it?
Outside of having the student with you basically all the time, if you're not in the bathroom or at home, the student is with you. So I know that's a little joke that I tell, but anyway, there's clinical evaluations. The preceptor has to evaluate the student. I send it out at the end of the immersion. During the immersion, they have to sign off on the student's clinical hours and their patient encounters. Now, my program uses a program. Can I actually say the program's name or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so we use Typhon, and the students track their patient encounters and their clinical hours. And I just show the preceptor how to go in there and bulk approve everything, make sure everything's all right. It takes probably 3 minutes. But that's still 3 minutes of time. I completely understand it. So I asked them to do that weekly, hopefully weekly, but I let them slide because I'm just grateful they're working with the students. So so that's a weekly thing for them. What else besides the evaluations and that? Oh, our students have checkoffs. Remember the checkoffs we had to do for
Proficiencies.
proficiencies? Yeah.
Proficiency.
Mhm. And our students have to do that as well. So it is time consuming, but I have some pretty good preceptors now with this rotation because we have 2 immersive opportunities where they have to do 2 in my program. There's a small 4-week one, and then there's a longer 7 to 8 week one, depending on where spring break falls. So it's a lot of work for preceptors, and we're just so grateful. I'm glad that the BOC has allowed them to get 5 CEUs if they get 200 hours with the students. So they definitely get 200 hours with the 8-week one, but the 4-week one, I don't know if they're going to get 200 unless it's, you know, something like football. But we tell the students, hey, track your clinical hours because this is how we pay our preceptors. I would love to send them gifts too. I have to look at our budget. I just think we should give them something, but it depends on people's budgets.
So switching gears a little bit, you mentioned COVID earlier. Do you think we're taking COVID seriously right now?
No, I don't, unfortunately. And individuals have to take it seriously and put that in our own hands. Like my university is not requiring masks, but I will be wearing a mask unless I'm in my office. I'm going to encourage my students to. I can't make them, but with no mask mandates, and you can get sued if you mandate a mask, what is it going to hurt? You know, it's not going to do any harm at all. So the fact that people are in ICU still dying and doing very badly from COVID, these ICUs are filling up. But we have laws that say you can't mandate a mask. We're just trying to protect you. No, it's not being taken seriously at all. Neither was the flu. People still get the flu. I'm kidding. That was a little joke at the end, but yeah.
So with COVID and having to teach the last, I'm going to say 2 years at this point, what have you had to do to adjust, and what are some difficulties that you found?
My lab classes were very difficult for me because I'm grateful for the mask, but it's just hard talking through that mask for an hour straight, demonstrating. Having my students our policy was you stay with the same person, the same partner the whole semester. So if your partner was exposed to COVID or got COVID, that wouldn't affect the entire class, just them two, so to speak. So that was annoying because I usually have every class get with a different person because you're going to see different people in clinics. So couldn't do that. So that was the main thing that was hard. Other than that, it was fine. I'm good with the technology on Zoom, even learned how to do quizzes during my lectures on Zoom. So that was fine, the didactic part when we did my whole class basically got quarantined last fall. Yeah, they went to New York on a plane.
Enough said. Enough said.
Yeah.
So what do you say to certified athletic trainers right now that are worried about these new athletic trainers coming into the profession, especially the newly graduated and the newly certified? Because there's concerns out there about their proficiency. Yeah. Are they able to have good patient care without being able to practice the last 2 years?
Mm-hmm. I would say they have the book smarts. They've passed that BOC for their entry level. Let's put that on the foundation. And the second thing, be patient. They probably can spit out every most special tests for the shoulder. But as far as doing them, yes, they are going to be a little weak in it, but be patient. Now, if the student, or not a student, but if the newly hired person doesn't continue to work on it and improve, then you have a problem. But that first year, that first 6-7 months, just be patient and let us catch up, because this was out of our hands.
So turning the tables on you, what brought you into athletic training?
I initially wanted to be a pediatrician when I was in high school, and I randomly went to talk to my athletic trainer one day. I think one of my coaches sent me down there to ask him something, and I was never hurt. So that day just changed my perspective. And he asked me what did I want to do. And because I was asking him so many questions about what he did, because I didn't know anything about his job. And he told me about basically an internship program at Tyler Junior College for athletic training majors. And I've never looked back. And I wanted to share too, I'm glad you asked that question, because I saw my high school athletic trainer at an NATA, and I told him, you are the reason why I'm here, and I want to thank you. And he was like, no, it didn't have anything to do with me. You did it all. No, yes, it did. It had everything to do with you.
So going into academia, was that a natural transition for you, or did it take some time?
My first job, I was an assistant athletic trainer and clinical coordinator for the ATEP back then, and teaching in the ATEP. So I had 3 jobs. And I knew athletic training was my passion, but I also had that main opportunity to teach. I'm like, wow, I could do this. I could do this full time, but I wanted something to bring to my students, not just go lollygag over there and say, hey, I'm gonna teach. So I went and got my doctorate degree and I started teaching. So yes, it was natural, because I realized, yeah, I can do this.
So being a professor and being a female minority, have you ever come across any stereotypes, microaggressions, negative experiences?
So I had my degrees put up in my office, and when the person who came to do it was looking for me, he walked by my office a couple times and he said, hey, I'm looking for Ramonica Scott. And I said, that's me. And he said, oh, so yeah, I guess I wasn't supposed to be there. And don't get me wrong, he was a sweet guy, talked to me the whole time, talked my head off. But that initial, oh, like you're surprised I'm here, that was annoying. Or I could have maybe I looked too far into it, but I've seen it before. I've been Black all my life. So that was the most recent thing. And then some people, they're surprised that I'm a doctor working at a university like that, teaching. So it's just a surprise and a shock on people's faces that I've experienced. Nothing any harsh than that, not to my face anyway. I'll just keep that answer short, because I think that's the most recent thing. I'll leave it there.
So going into mental wellness with that, how do you cope with that?
I have a group of athletic training friends that I talk to. COVID really pushed that out and made me really, really seek that. I've had a mentee since 2005, but in some instances, she's my mentor, because she's highly involved in athletic training and committees and everything. So she's been helpful. I hope she knows that. So yeah, I've sought out people who look like me, Black females in athletic training, to listen to me. I'm like, yep, I get it.
So speaking of a mentor-mentee relationship, you said roles reverse once in a while. Were you expecting that? Was it a surprise to you?
It just all kind of flowed, because when she got out of grad school and got her first job, and then to her second job, she started getting into the committees on the state level and the national level. And that was before me. And I'm like, wow, I need to be doing that. I want to help out. I want to get behind the scenes and help run this organization that I help to represent. So that's really how it started. The roles kind of shifted. She still calls me her mentor, but she's my mentor too.
A lot of athletic trainers state that they don't get involved because they feel like they don't have anything to offer. What do you say to them?
If you have any type of work experience, if you have experience, even as a student in an athletic training who was consuming athletic training as a student at the time, you have something to say. You have something to give, you have an experience to give. So it's definitely not true. You just don't realize what you have.
What has your experience been like serving on committees and volunteering in the profession?
I just recently got on my first committee during COVID. So I think some social justice, the environment helped me to get on that committee, since we're being honest here. I'm appreciative of it. I know it's kind of bittersweet, but I'm very appreciative. It was my first committee. I'm on the convention program committee. So I've been to every NATA since 2006, minus the year we went to San Antonio, because I went on a cruise that year. So it was important to me to get involved in that type of committee, the convention program committee, because I consume NATA conventions so much. I wanted to get behind the scenes and just be a part of them creating that. So did I answer your question? I went off on a
Oh,
tangent.
no, you did. And it
Okay.
leads me to another one. What do you look forward to every year when we have in-person conventions?
Seeing everybody, definitely seeing my students, old people, not old people, but people I've worked for. And also hearing things that I can bring back to my therapeutic exercise class, my therapeutic modalities class, and now even more, my psychology of athletic injury course. So I always get stuff from those lectures, whatever I decide to go to, and I bring it back to my classes. I've done that. Well, I've taught rehab for a while, so every year that I've gone.
What about people that say it's such a financial burden to go sometimes, depending on where the convention is at? What's the, and I'll use a smarty pants term, what's the return on investment in going to convention?
Definitely networking if you allow it to be. And I'm the pot calling the kettle black, because that's another way that my mentee and I, we switched roles, because I wasn't shy, but I'm reserved to talk to people because I didn't want to bother anybody. And she has gotten me out of my shell. It's taken a while, but networking at NATA, number one. Second is the information that you get from going to the lectures and the sessions. Because when you're grinding every day and working as an athletic trainer, you don't always have that time to sit down and open a book and refresh yourself. But the lectures and sessions at NATA, you can go and be educated, get a refresher, or you can go to the discussions and talks and really listen to how other people are thinking and find out that some people, or a lot of people, are going through the same thing that you're going through. So.
What are some issues do you think the profession of athletic training is going to face in the next couple of years?
Well, with all of the openings now, I'm afraid that may continue a little bit, maybe for a little while.
The job openings.
Yes. Just people going through a master's, and that takes extra time. How can I word this? The supply and demand is going to be off, basically, because having to require these extra 2 years of school, people right now may not be financially ready to do that. Maybe I'm not explaining it well, but there may be a decline in our graduates that can affect where our athletic trainers are. It might be a lot of positions open in the next couple of years. It may stay this way. And then if potential new hires know that their athletic trainers are scarce, they're going to ask for more money. So not every place is able to give more money. So This turning the tables, this may be a good thing, because if organizations, they're seeing that people are asking for a certain amount, that may help the athletic training salary average, national average, to go up. So there's a downside of it, I think, but then this could be a good side of it to get us with these higher average salaries. So I don't know.
Would you say you're happy right now?
In general, just all around, happy. Happy is situational. Let's see. I'm hardly ever happy unless I'm about to get on a plane and go somewhere. Yes, for the most part, I'm happy. I have to check myself a lot and look at all my blessings. I'm definitely 100% satisfied, but happiness, sometimes I got to remind myself, because sometimes it's a lot going on. And yeah.
Last question to you. Tell me about an embarrassing moment or a mistake you've made in athletic training, and what did you learn from it?
In athletic training. Okay, so I am years and years and years removed from this incident, so I'll go ahead and say it. At Tyler Junior College, it was my first year being an athletic training student. I hadn't taken any modalities classes, and my head athletic trainer, he told me how to use the ultrasound. This was 1998. I'm gonna throw that out there. He taught me how to use the ultrasound, but without having taken the class and kind of, being a novice at it, I burned one of the tennis players. And I was freaking out. And the head athletic trainer came over there. He's like, "Oh, it's okay. The tennis player, he understood. Nobody called me a dummy, but I felt like a huge dummy." So from that, once I started having my own students in my first job, and even now, if I go into athletic training room, you need to move at a steady pace. That's too slow. I am on it. That's how I've corrected it. I'm anal about it now. So.
So Dr. Scott, the next couple minutes is for you, your final statement.
Again, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to sit and chat with you. I wanted to say again, I am the District 6 representative for the Convention Program Committee. I'll be there until 2024, I think. If you have any research ideas you need help developing, please let me know. Use me. And I look forward to serving you more in other capacities as well. So that's it.
Dr. Scott, thank you so much for your time, and everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Have a good day.
Thank you.